welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing you how I made this cube into this wallpaper. If you want to get the wallpaper for either your phone or for like a PC, feel free to join and become a member where you'll get access to a bunch of wallpapers. Thank you so much to those of you who are members for the channel, especially big shout out for those of you who are members for the month of May. You actually all got brand new badges, which is really cool. It's the first time we're ever seeing the 24-month badge. So big shout out to Rochelle Victoria for being a sleepy dumpling for 24 months, and for being a dumpling for 18 months, Neotono for being a dumpling for 13 months, and Max B for being a sleepy dumpling for 12 months. Really appreciate you guys, and your support honestly helps me to continue to make videos on this channel, so I really appreciate it. And again, if you want to be a member, even for just a month, you can get access to those wallpapers. So let's jump in. I did actually do rough sketches for this wallpaper. I did a quick pencil sketch in my sketch pad and then made a digital sketch, and I'm not great at 2D drawing, but this definitely helped me convey the colors I wanted to use. I wanted to stick with kind of a purple tone and then use complementary colors from there, but keep it pretty simple, and I think it actually turned out pretty good. So here I'm just starting the scene, and my textures actually is one thing I'm really proud of for this one. I did get a new texture pack, which I will throw down below, but it's helped me be able to bring to life and learn more about how to set up textures properly, or learn particles, which is how I did the fur for this one. So it's called Crafty Asset Pack, and I will put the channel and the creator and the link to where I got it from down below. It's awesome, and it's actually what I used to make this. So yeah, check it out. But basically I started with the trees, setting up the scene, and then started working on little details. Now this project actually took me somewhere around 25 to 30, maybe 35 hours is more accurate. There were a lot of little pieces to this one, and I did run into a texturing issue, which I'll let you know about later when we get there, but I really wanted to keep as many of the smaller details as I had written down. Kind of keep them within the final product. There were some changes to the final product, as you will notice eventually, just because it didn't work or it didn't look the way I thought it would in 3D, and I decided to kind of change it up, which was a good learning experience, making and documenting kind of my progress by making these wallpapers for you guys, you know, to enjoy. Thankfully they're getting a lot better, I think, especially since texturing. I'm starting to wrap my head around it a lot better. But it's really been cool to see my progress and like look back on these videos and see. So like here I made some logs, and now we're starting to work on the body. And the body of the bear, I knew I want to make a big sweater, so kind of how I go about it was different than I thought, but I think it kind of worked out anyway. I made, like, as you can see, an extra kind of shape around the body that was similar to the body, and started kind of shaping it that way, and then adding in the arms, which had slight bends to them, because I knew kind of like in the picture it's going to be, at first the bear was supposed to be reaching for the log, but I ended up, I think, having it holding the log because I thought it just worked a little better with the scene. And then started adding in the head. And the head was kind of funny because I noticed with a lot of cuter characters, they kind of do more of a point towards the top, like the bottom's a little wider, kind of like as if they have larger cheeks, your character. And definitely for a teddy bear, I wanted to have, or not a teddy bear, for a bear, I wanted to convey that, and also wanted to make sure the ears were just right, because I don't know, for some reason the ears are super cute to me on any like real life bear, or even on like kind of a cartoonish bear, or like anytime I've seen bears done in like 3D before, they're just so cute, and I wanted to make sure they were right. So they do go through a couple changes. Same thing with the eyes. I wanted the eyes to be really cute, and actually decided to make them a bit of a different shape than I had originally planned. They were going to be a little more, I think they were going to be a little more round, or no, they were going to be a little more oval, but I think they're a little different. So yeah, then kind of got the base of the bear done, moved on to the tree stump, which was a little interesting because I haven't done a tree stump before, so I kind of did it just the way I thought I should do it, but it could be wrong. If you know 3D, this might look kind of suspicious the way I did this, but this was just kind of how I decided to do it, which was just kind of extruding, like pulling out pieces in the geometry as you see, and then smoothing it out, and then kind of adding in that part of the stump that kind of goes down, which I kind of drew in the example, my little example for myself. The axe I thought was a really cute touch to kind of put into the stump, and it actually took me a couple tries, but I think it worked out in the end. And then I realized I didn't give my bear any feet. I did change the bear to having pants. I just thought it would look a little bit cuter and a little more with this realism inside of this kind of cute fictional world. So I did add some pants and then have boots that the pants are kind of tucked in it. Was the plan, and they were supposed to be furry boots, but in the texturing, I don't know if I captured it, but it kind of got messed up, so we didn't have it as furry as I wanted that round of the top round part of the boot to be. But yeah, I had a good time. I'm not great at modeling shoes, so this was really good practice, and then kind of scaled the bear to the size of the scene, and then got a rough area of where the bear is, working with the clothes as well, trying to make sure everything was in a good proportion. Nothing was peeking out. And then I added the sun, so this actually ended up being a change because, as you can see, when I added in the sun, it wasn't looking right with like the way everything was. I don't know if it needed to be farther away, but it wasn't feeling right after I put it into the scene. I think I even get to the point of texturing with this sun, and yeah, right here. So we've switched to texturing. It just wasn't like looking right to me in the scene. Let me know if you think it could have still worked in the scene down below. But for some reason, after I was adding lighting and things, as you can see here, it didn't really sit with me well, and I did end up making the choice to remove the sun design just because I thought it would look better if there were actually trees behind it, because I didn't actually convey it in my concept art, but there were supposed to be, in my head I saw trees like behind the bear, but I realized like the sun couldn't be lower than the trees. That would be, that would be an interesting choice, and I don't think it would have worked. You could always do that again in your art and stuff like that, but for me, I thought it was going to be weird. So this is when I was kind of realizing it looked weird, but I thought I'd come back after finishing more textures and maybe it would look more complete. So I was on the fence about the sun at this point. I do end up removing it, and I started focusing on the ground, which I wanted to keep within that purpley pink color palette, kind of purple, pinks, oranges, and yellows. Kind of, they work well together, but the dominant color was supposed to be kind of a purple, because all the trees, as I'm texturing now, are purple. So I wanted that to kind of really be the main color, and then lighter, darker variants of purple into pinks, and then having orange as like the contrast color. I think, I don't know. I may be talking wild right now, but that's kind of where my thought process went. And then as I was doing this, I decided the trees should probably be fuzzy. I thought that would look so cool. Like, I remember the Lorax, which I was actually going to watch the other day again, but I remember the trees in the Lorax and how cool those looked. Because they were, kind of like a fuzzy look to them, and I thought that looked so cool. So I thought I'd try and do that and take full advantage of the crafty asset pack and like what I've been learning with particles and try and use it and learn about it. So kept adjusting lighting, kind of getting things put together, and it started coming together for sure. But again, that sun was, I was like, if the sunlight's coming from the side where I'm putting it, that sun's probably going to move. So at this point, even though I started working on other things, I kind of knew it was going to have to move. So we do have a bit of a time skip, which I apologize. I thought I had recorded between this. So after finishing the stump and the ground texturing, I started working on the bear. And at this point is when I realized the sun wasn't going to work, moved it. And as you can see, I've just duplicated trees in the back. I'm not sure why that jump is so big. I apologize. I guess I had forgot I wasn't recording while I started working on it. So here is when we start working on the bear, which I really wanted to get right. And this is where I messed up, because somewhere in making this bear, with the fur I ended up loving, which we're getting to right now, as a lot of the particle effects is the way I did the fur. It's a lot of the sliders, but you can actually see where my issue is already. On the side of the bear's head, kind of where I'm looking right now, the hair is not actually translating that side for some reason. You can actually see it just kind of, I don't know, it's just kind of looking very strange and like kind of flat. So I don't know how to fix that yet. I'm still learning about particle effects. I thought it would be okay because the camera was kind of far, but on the head, like on the ears, everything looks fluffy. It looks good, but on the head, for some reason, it kept looking very strange. I think I figured out looking into it that there was just basically two effects that, like, one was on top of another and they should have been switched. Like the one I had on the bottom should have been on the top. So that's why it was looking weird, but I ended up doing all this other stuff before figuring that out. I kind of messed up the head. So the blur is actually in place. The effect blur later is in place to kind of make sure you can't see that kind of happened with him. For next time though, I definitely know how to fix it. So yeah, little thing. I always like letting you guys know when I make a mistake, just because I think it's good to like show that obviously we make mistakes and like to learn from them and remember like the process of why that happened. So here I'm kind of finished texturing the bear with the cute buttons and the really cute jacket, which I didn't translate great, but this is how the jacket was supposed to be. And then holding the log again. And even though the arm's kind of not connected to the bear, this looked the most natural when I did connect it. It looks strange holding the log. Now we're moving on to a bumblebee, because I had just realized last minute the bumblebee was not in it. So I did begin adding the bumblebee and starting with some wings to model them kind of the way bumblebee wings kind of look in at least cartoons and things I've seen, and kind of stylized, and then started kind of adding those in and texturing them. At this point, I wasn't too happy with the placement of the bear's legs. I think I do change those eventually. But at this point in the project, I think I had used a lot of particle effects and started to slow down the project. It did crash quite a few times, which I think I've cut out. But like even adding these particle effects and this fuzz to the bee, definitely did slow down a little more, just because the trees have particle effects, the bear has particle effects, so it's just kind of adding a lot to my system. So I did get a couple crashes, not as much actually as the last project, which is interesting, but did get a few. So yeah, here you can actually see really well that the bear's side of the head is not fuzzy, so I do fix that kind of off camera because it took quite a few hours. And then eventually got to a point where I was okay with it. And then just making sure the bee is in the right section. And it's all starting to look like it's coming together. And I think at this point I did a couple lighting adjustments and things, and then did the blur. And there is the final product. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And if you want to get these wallpapers, you can become a member for even just a month. And then you'll be able to get access to that. But yeah, let me know what you thought down below. And as always, thanks for watching.